Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you guys with the most up-to-date political, economic and geostrategic analysis on the world's #2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. Happy Saturday, everybody. I hope you will forgive a few sentimental comments before we start with the main stories today. It appears, if things go smoothly, that China Update will reach 30,000 subscribers, probably sometime in the next 24 hours, something which I frankly still find rather unbelievable. When I started this channel, I honestly never thought it would reach more than 1,000 people, let alone tens of thousands of subscribers. This channel currently is a one-man band. I research, write, record, edit and post all the videos myself, and in addition to a demanding full-time job, it's a lot of work. But I feel deeply that it is an honor to be able to produce these videos every day for all of you. I take pride too in the community that supports the channel and engages in such thoughtful and respectful discourse and discussion in the comments section below. As such, all of the work that I do here is a true pleasure. I hope that in the future I can transition to doing this channel for all of you as my full-time role, expanding the scope of the videos and improving the quality of the presentation. I have a deep sense of gratitude to you all for all the incredible support that you have provided, and I will do my best to try to continue to provide value for you all with future videos. Thank you. Okay, now let's jump in and let's start with the economy. Today, Saturday local time, the domestically compiled Caixin China General Services Business Activity Index, or simply the Services PMI Index, which claims to provide an independent snapshot of operating conditions in services industries such as retailing and travel, was published, and the results were not positive. China's services activity slipped into contraction in September after 3 consecutive months of expansion, with the index falling to 49.3 in September from 55 the previous month. We remember that a number above 50 indicates an expansion in activity, while a figure below that signals a contraction. The services PMI appears to reflect the similar disappointing findings of the Caixin China Manufacturing PMI, which also further contracted in September. The China General Composite PMI, which covers both the manufacturing and services sector, also published today, dropped to 48.5 from a respectable 53 in August. Our old friend Wang Zhe, a senior economist at Caixin Inside Group, who publishes the data, explains today what we already knew. In September, COVID outbreaks emerged in many areas of the country and containment measures were tightened, impacting both services supply and demand. The systemic property crisis and substantial international headwinds didn't help either. Wang advises, quote, policy implementation should focus on promoting employment, granting subsidies, as well as boosting demand and market confidence by sending policy signals, end quote. Service companies surveyed said measures such as lockdowns, temporary closures, and mobility restrictions hurt customer demand, as well as client numbers. With the spreading of COVID restrictions across the country, which we explored in yesterday's video, these issues will likely worsen in October. Caixin analysts point out that a breakdown of the services PMI survey shows that total new business fell for the first time in 4 months. In September. Of the service firms surveyed, optimism has dropped to a 6-month low also. A bright spot in the data, however, was that the measure for new export businesses expanded month on month for the first time since December last year, though this was from a low base. Next up, this week the US Commerce Department added 31 names, all Chinese, to a list of companies that it regards as unverified, meaning it doesn't know where their products end up being used, meaning, in practice, that US suppliers will be restricted from selling certain technologies to these firms. We have been anticipating this formalization of restrictions for well over a week now. The new measures are designed to further restrict PRC access to American semiconductor technology, part of a broader strategy in the US that includes increasing American domestic chip manufacturing. Beijing, of course, condemned the move, calling it protectionist. US chipmakers lobbying group, the Semiconductor Industry Association, expressed with the decision, quote, "We understand the goal of ensuring national security and urge the US government to implement the rules in a targeted way and in collaboration with international partners to help level the playing field and mitigate unintended harm to US innovation." End quote. And finally, while we're on the economy, another update for the housing restart efforts in Zhengzhou, which we've been following for the last few weeks. Zhengzhou is proving to be an excellent case study to follow Chinese efforts to complete unfinished apartments to prevent the mortgage boycott movement from spreading. We remember last month that the Henanis provincial capital issued an ultimatum to its local developers to resume all unfinished projects by Thursday this week, or risk criminal investigation for embezzlement, tax evasion, and other serious charges. According to the local government yesterday, 145 of 147 stalled housing projects have resumed construction. The 2 stalled projects that missed the deadline have been filed for restructuring and liquidation. The Zhengzhou developers raised 12.5 billion RMB, $1.8 billion to fund the construction. However, we also remember from an exclusive report a week ago that several struggling developers simply do not have the funds to resume work on what in some cases are projects containing thousands of apartment units. Third-party suppliers and in some cases even labor are demanding payment up front. These developers, according to the reports, are doing the bare minimum to pass government inspections. Quote, "Some struggling companies simply hired a few workers to go to the construction sites and pretend to restart work as a quick fix to get around government inspections." End quote. Frankly, the local government is at a bit of an impossible impasse with builders, however. It is under tremendous political pressure to deal with the mortgage boycott crisis, which arguably first started in Zhengzhou itself, but it also needs developers to get through their liquidity issues and start buying land again in order to replenish extra budgetary government revenue. Next up, Xinjiang and the UN Human Rights Council. Hey guys, if you enjoy China Update and you like what I'm trying to do here with the channel and you would like to help me keep it sustainable, Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are in the description below. This is one of the best ways you can help me continue making these videos for you guys every day. If you like this episode in particular, don't forget to hit the like button, that's also a big help. Thank you so much everybody for the ongoing support. In what has been described as a close diplomatic victory for China, on Thursday of this week, the United Nations top human rights body, the UN Human Rights Council, voted down a proposal from Britain, Turkey, the United States and others to hold a debate on alleged human rights abuses against Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities in China's western Xinjiang region. At the 47-member state Human Rights Council, 17 countries voted in favor, 19 were against, and 11 abstained. The 19 countries in favor were mostly African countries friendly to Beijing. The 11 countries which abstained included India and Ukraine. China, through officials and state media, trumpeted the decision as a victory for justice, with China's envoy to Geneva describing the draft decision as, quote, "having the real intention of taking advantage of UN human rights bodies to interfere in China's internal affairs and use Xinjiang-related issues to contain China." End quote. During the vote, the Chinese envoy, Chen Xu, reaffirmed Beijing's long-held official position in the face of mounting international, though mostly Western plus Japan and South Korea, concern regarding serious human rights violations in the region, expressing, quote, "The Xinjiang-related issues are by no means human rights issues. They are about counterterrorism, de-radicalization, and anti-separatism." End quote. China's foreign ministry spokesperson the same day doubled down on the position, expressing, quote, "For some time now, the US and other Western countries have been misinforming the public about Xinjiang and seeking political manipulation in the name of human rights simply to smear China's image and contain China's development. The international community would not be easily misled." End quote. We remember back in late August, UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet, on her final day in office, released an official UN report finding that, quote, "serious human rights violations," end quote, had been committed in Xinjiang, as well as, quote, "possible crimes against humanity," End quote. Of course, for the 17 countries which voted for the proposal, as well as others, the results are deeply disappointing. The US ambassador to the Council expressed on Twitter, soon after the vote, quote, "Inaction following the High Commissioner's independent assessment shamefully suggests some countries are free from scrutiny and allowed to violate human rights with impunity." End quote. The German Foreign Office called the decision, quote, "a dark day for human rights." End quote. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you so much everybody for watching. Unless there is an emergency or a large development tomorrow, I hope you all have a good Sunday, and I will see you all on Monday.